What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Touchdowns to Home Runs. I'm your host, Noah, for this episode, and today I just want to talk about what are the Jacksonville Jaguars doing right now with this offseason, the last year, this free agency, this offseason, and everything. What are the Jacksonville Jaguars trying to do here with all the guys they've traded, all the guys they've cut? Are they tanking right now? Is that what they're trying to do? Or are they just trying to restart fresh in the locker room? And that's what I want to talk about today here on Touchdowns to Home Runs, the source for some of your best sports news on YouTube. So if you love sports, especially football, NFL football, college football, this is the channel for you, I'm telling you. So definitely go drop a sub down below for us. So let's talk about these Jacksonville Jaguars, shall we? Where do I even start here? Back to 2017, I think it was, the year that they made the, AFC Championship, and they lose to New England. I'm pretty sure they were winning in that game too, and they blew the lead when they could have made the Super Bowl and everything. Everything was looking up for the Jaguars at that point, except at the quarterback position with Blake Bortles. But still, it was kind of a Chicago Bears situation for me, because you have a great defense. You had a great Jacksonville Jaguars defense, which really carried the team, and you just didn't have a quarterback that could lead you anywhere in the playoffs or during the season and everything. And that's kind of what the Bears are going through right now with Mitch Trubisky. But hopefully Nick Foles, who the Jaguars gave us, should help out the Bears in some sense. So that was, first off, one of the off-season losses for the Jacksonville Jaguars. They paid Nick Foles a lot of money to go to Jacksonville, and after one season he dealt with injury and everything, and you have a young gunner in Gardner Minshew, a guy who has a lot of hype, and he's just a fun guy to watch when he's playing well. He's kind of like, reminds me of a Johnny Manziel or Baker Mayfield guy, just that underdog guy that he's loud, he's energetic and everything like that. You love to watch him play when he's playing good and everything. So that's what you kind of have in Gardner Minshew for the Jaguars. And it looks like the Jaguars want to roll with him this season, or are they trying to tank? So just yesterday, I'm pretty sure it was, or a couple days ago, depending on when you're watching this video, where I am today, it is September the 1st. The Jaguars cut Leonard Fournette. A couple days before that, they trade Yannick Ngakoue. They get rid of Calais Campbell. They trade him to the Ravens this season. They trade A.J. Bouye. Jalen Ramsey goes to the Rams earlier in the season. That's basically their whole team. Their whole team, all their superstars and everything gone, who aren't the young guys. They're all gone. Everyone from that 2017. I saw a stat that all their first-round picks from that 2017 team are all now gone, except for, I think it was Justin Blackmon, who they said hadn't played a regular season game since like 2013 or something like that. I might be wrong on that stat, but that's what I read. That's crazy that you have a team that was in the AFC Championship game, a team that had really high hopes for the rest of the next couple of years and everything like that, just crash to the ground and just fall apart. All the players on that team wanted to leave, especially on that defense. They all wanted out. So that's what the Jaguars did. They traded all of them. They get rid of Leonard Fournette, who is their, I think, where did he go in that draft year? I think he went like 4th overall or something like that. There's a bunch of running backs taken after him who were very good. You had like Christian McCaffrey taken that year. Kamara was that year, I'm pretty sure. I know Eckler was a free agent. Aaron Jones with that season. Dalvin Cook with that season. Tons of guys who went after Fournette in that season. But Fournette is still a really good running back and everything. And it says a lot that they cut him. They just waived him. And now he's able to go wherever he wants. That just says a lot about what you're trying to do for this Jaguars team. And I think what they're really trying to do, I think it's obvious what they're trying to do. There are two different things. One, either you're trying to start fresh with a complete locker room change, a culture change and everything like that. They just wanted to get all those old guys, the guys who were on that championship team, and a bunch of the guys who wanted out of the team. They got them out, and they're going to let all these young guys play and try to prove themselves. Or the obvious choice is they are trying to tank for a guy by the name of Trevor Lawrence. As you can see, I don't know if you could see, but on the side of my hat there is a Gamecocks logo here. I'm a huge South Carolina Gamecocks fan, and I am not a huge fan of Trevor Lawrence at all, but that does not mean that he is not a great quarterback, so I completely understand why the Jaguars are doing this. If you look at their offense this year and everything, you have Minshew. Running back, I don't even know who's there anymore. I got a list of the roster here. You got Raquel Armstead, Nathan Cottrell, Devin, I'm going to say this wrong, Ozigbo, James Robinson, Chris Thompson. Like, you just look at those guys and you're like, I'm going to be honest, I have never heard of any of them. I think I've heard of Armstead before, but that might be the only one. You just haven't heard of any of these guys, and you lose Leonard Fournette, so that's running back position is going to be tough this season. Wide receiver, I do like their wide receivers. They lose Marquise Lee this season, but you got DJ Chark out of LSU. Love him. He's basically their go-to guy. You got D.D. Westbrook. They just draft Laviska Shenault this season, who I wasn't a big fan of. I thought that he was going to go in the first round because he was just overhyped and everything like that, but he fell back a bit. I think that he's still going to be a good player and a good pickup for them, but that is 3 solid receivers. So the receiving core isn't as bad as people may think. They got Tyler Eifert at the tight end position. Offensive line is the offensive line for the Jaguars. I don't think that there's anything too amazing about this offensive line. I don't think that there's anything too weak. I would put it on the weaker side of the offensive lines of the NFL, but it's not a glaring need right now for the Jaguars, especially when you're trying to tank for a quarterback. When they get Trevor, if that's what they're trying to do, that's when you start building on that offensive line. Defensive side of the ball, I've said it already. They lose a bunch of their main guys. They lose Ngakoue, they lose Campbell, they lose Bouye, they lose Ramsey. But they sign a Joe Schobert guy from Cleveland, free agency. They still got Myles Jack at linebacker. You got Josh Allen, who will be a sophomore this season. He played a really great season of football last year, and he is a guy who can do a lot. He fell deep to the Jaguars in that draft in, 2019. He was expected, he could have gone in the top 2, top 3 or something like that. That's how good he was, but he fell back to the Jaguars. So he is going to be key for them in a defensive line, just building that up when they actually try to start competing for championships. Josh Allen will be a guy who will be very key for this defense. They draft C.J. Henderson, and then I'm pretty sure they got Kayvon Chason in the draft too, who is a huge guy for LSU's defense in winning that national championship this year. Probably the most, I wanted to say the most key guy on that defense, the best player on that defense, but then I remember there's a guy named Derek Stingley on that defense who's probably a top 2 player after Trevor Lawrence. He's probably the second best guy in college football, at least in my opinion. So those are 2 guys right there, C.J. Henderson and Kayvon Chason, who are going to help this Jaguars defense and everything like that. But the team as a whole just isn't there to do anything this season. They got to go up against the Colts, who got Phillip Rivers. They're looking like a solid team this year. They get Jonathan Taylor in the draft, who's really going to help them. Who else is in that? The Texans, they trade DeAndre Hopkins. They get David Johnson, so that was kind of a step back from where they were. But the Texans are still going to be a good team with Deshaun Watson and everything. Then who's the last team? Oh, yeah. How could I forget? The Titans, the team that made it to the AFC Championship last year. They signed Ryan Tannehill. Derrick Henry's still there. That team is very solid. They got A.J. Brown, who was probably the best rookie wide receiver last season. So those are 3 solid teams in your division, and the Jaguars are just taking a step back, in my opinion, and they are just going for Trevor Lawrence. There's no need to try to win anything this season for the Jaguars because they don't have the personnel to do that this season. Take a step back. Accept that you're going to lose this season. That's what they're trying to do. They've got rid of anyone who will help them. Any of the old guys who will help them get to a point where they're winning games and everything like that. They're just trying to tank at this point. It really is as simple as that. And how could they do with Trevor Lawrence? We know what Trevor Lawrence is able to do on the football field. If Trevor Lawrence goes to Jacksonville and they start building this offensive line, they need a running back now. That's something that Jacksonville will need. They got the wide receivers. They got a solid defense, the Jaguars do. So if you just get Lawrence, you draft some O-linemen, you maybe sign some in some free agency, and then you got a chance at starting to look at, now we're starting to be a championship contender. I really feel like that's the big picture here for the Jaguars. Even if they don't get the first overall pick, this draft is loaded with quarterbacks, and if they get in anywhere in the bottom 4 of the league and get a top 4 draft pick, you still got a guy named Justin Fields, who will be available, who in my opinion is just as good as Trevor Lawrence. Fields, they're two very different playing styles in my opinion, but Fields and Lawrence are two great quarterbacks. Those are two elite tier quarterbacks who will shock some people in the NFL and who will do some damage in the NFL when they both make the league. So even if the Jaguars do not get the first pick, and if you're a Jaguars fan and you're panicking, do not worry. You still got Justin Fields, even if you drop into the mid-tiers. Now, I don't think any of the guys in the mid-tiers will help you win a championship or anything. Like, I'm not high on Jamie Newman at all. I don't know enough about, like, Brock Purdy to have an opinion. I don't know enough about Trey Lance to have an opinion, but apparently those are two high-class guys. But I feel like the Jaguars, they're really trying to aim for those top 4 picks, even more that first overall pick, and I don't really see anyone who's competing with the Jaguars for that overall pick for the worst team in the league. Like, who do you got? Worst teams in the league. The Patriots have been rumored to be that team that's like, oh, we're tanking for Trevor this season, and Belichick and the Patriots are going to get Trevor, and that's going to be chaotic. I don't see that happening. I'm a big Cam Newton fan, and I feel like the Patriots are still going to win that division with Cam Newton and everything. They're still a solid team. Who else? The Bengals, but the Bengals aren't going to... They're going to have a rough year this season, but they're not going to draft Trevor Lawrence when you just draft Joe Burrow. They're going to go O-line or maybe even get Jamar Chase to pair up Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow again in Cincinnati. Who else would be there? There's just not many teams out for quarterbacks unless the football teams, the Washington football team, are done with Haskins and they're done with, who else do they have? I think they have Alex Smith there. They got Kyle Allen. Unless they're completely done with all those guys and have no faith in any of them, I don't see them going for a quarterback. They might be the only threat to Jacksonville if they take the first overall pick. But other than that, there aren't too many teams who are looking for the quarterback market. So in my opinion, the Jaguars are doing the right thing here. They're taking a step back this season. They're trying to get their future guy for the next coming season who's showing promise of being the next superstar in the NFL. So thumbs up to the Jaguars, especially for cutting Leonard Fournette, because it's looking like he's going to my Bears now, so I'm happy about that. But that's all I have to say for this. The Jaguars are tanking for Trevor. The hype is real and everything like that. The Jaguars are tanking for Trevor. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. If you liked the video, please go hit the like button down below. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comment section on what you think about this all and what the Jaguars are strategizing this season. So comment that below. Definitely hit that sub button. Thanks for watching and come back next time.